A frantic search and rescue is taking place right now in the Atlantic Ocean after a tourist submarine on an expedition to see the wreckage of the Titanic carrying 5 people went missing. Now, rescuers, we think, only have a handful of hours to find the vessel as emergency oxygen supplies run low. Joining me now to talk about this is one of Australia's leading, perhaps Australia's actual leading Titanic expert, Michael Booth. Michael, thank you so much for your time here. Just first of all, your theories. What do you think could have happened to this submarine, and what is the sort of path the sub would have taken to the wreckage? What sort of depths are we talking about?
Well, you're going 1.5 miles down. It's a long way. Now, when you get to a certain depth, it's just pitch black. So if their power is gone and their lighting is gone, it's going to be very, very difficult to find them. And even if they do find them, I mean, my theory is, unfortunately, they were always told never, ever to land on the Titanic, because years ago they used to. But then it was making all these marks, and rusticles were starting to form, and then obviously the metal, then they would have fallen through the decks. So they stopped doing that. But you've got to understand, all the cables that were from the funnels and everything are sticking out all over the place. So you can get tangled up. So it is a pretty dangerous site to be there, to be honest.
And, I mean, just in terms of how remote this site is, we were talking before we went on air and saying, you know, this isn't like setting a helicopter out to find somebody who's missing in the woods. This is a much bigger area here. What sort of scale are we talking about for the search and rescue mission?
Oh, okay. You're probably just in the debris field. If we're looking at the bow section, for instance, you're looking possibly about 5 miles. I mean, it's incredible. The thing is the weather with the what do you call them? The currents and everything that are down there would sweep them all over the place. I mean, if, for instance, Paul is on this particular mission, the French person who went down, he missed the Titanic when he was looking for it by 300 feet. Ballard beat him to it. So obviously, if it's pitch black and they're going down there, obviously they're going to need a lot of lighting. But to be honest, it'd be like dropping a spoon on the sea floor and trying to find it.
Indeed, it's a terrible, scary thing to think about what's going on there, what may have happened to these people. But tell us, though,
very much so.
As someone who has studied the Titanic, what is the romance? What is the attraction? Why does this disaster hold so much fascination for people still today, 111 years later?
Yes, yes. Well, I got into this because my grandfather actually stood on the deck of the Titanic at the age of 7 when it went down the slipway in Belfast before they fitted it out with all the funnels and fancy staircases and so on. So that's where, from probably about the age of 6, there's always been a fascination of the Titanic. He used to tell me all these stories. Unfortunately, when Ballard found it in 85, my grandfather passed away in 84. So it was pretty sad. If he'd have lived another year that he found it, would have been amazing. So it really is. So I actually go to Belfast and I dress up as Captain Smith, and I've collected loads of artefacts and things like that as well. I think the passengers who survived, they always said they didn't mind people taking artefacts from the seabed, from the debris field, but they certainly didn't want them going inside the ship and doing that, because it is a grave site. But the first person to do that, unfortunately, was James Cameron, when he was told not to. I mean, originally when he did that movie, he never wanted to make that film. The only reason he did was because they told him he could go down to the wreck. He's been down there now 33 times.
And how big how often does this, is this business of going like tourists down to the Titanic, is this a thing that people have been doing and maybe just people haven't been aware of it just quickly?
No, it has been going on. I think actually when the movie came out, there was, I think one of the stores had a raffle, like you could have won a ticket to actually go on board and go down to the Titanic. But now it's been going on now for 2 years.
Wow.
So these trips down to, so it's not it's a one-off.
Michael,
but I'd love to have gone down, but I'm going
to have to cut you off there. Thank you so much for your time, your expertise tonight, and all of your insights on the Titanic.